Hi, we're going to be talking about some terms of translating word phrases and speaking algebraically. We already do some of this already. We have a much longer list that you have in your notebooks and that we have on our word wall than this. But some of the things that we need to be aware of is quantity means parentheses. So when I'm talking about the quantity of two numbers, I'm adding the quantity of two numbers, I'm going to have 3 plus 2 inside parentheses. When I have adding, I've got a plus sign, or adding, I've got added plus some, increased, more than. Notice I've got a little asterisk by more than. Subtract means subtracted minus difference, less than. I have an asterisk by less than. And take away. And for multiplication, I have times multiplied by, product, groups of, each, per, or of. And for division, I have divided by, quotient, or split in two. Like I said, we have many more names and words that we've talked about because we're talking about when we're reading word problems. Now we're having to do it and translate it into an expression. The reason why I put asterisks before less than and more than is in this case, more than is going to be flip-flopped, and anytime you see less than, it's going to be flip-flopped. More than means if I have 8 more than a number, that means 8 is going to be added to whatever was already there. This is what I don't know as my number, so I'm going to call it X, and I'm going to add 8 more to it. Here I've got less than 6, less than a number. That means the number was there first, and I'm going to subtract the 6 from it, so it would be written X minus 6. So on your paper, you've got VIC number 1, and that means when the terms more than, less than, and subtracted from come up, those three phrases are used, you're going to flip-flop, flip the numbers over, and write the expression, okay? You're going to flip-flop the written expression. For example, 5 more than X, I know more than means to add, so I'm going to flip-flop X plus 5. That means there's 5 more than whatever you started with, which was X. Number 2, 5 less than X. Less than means to subtract. So I'm going to flip-flop it and say X minus 5, because 5 less than X means you starting with X, and you're going to find out what is 5 less than that number. 5 subtracted from X, this probably might make a little bit more sense. That is subtraction, but you're going to flip-flop and say 5 is not 5 minus X, but X, because it's subtracted from X, X minus 5. Here you're going to say X subtracted from Y. We're going to use two variables here. I know subtracted from is minus. I'm going to flip-flop them. That means I started with Y, and I'm going to subtract whatever X is. How would you write the term 5 more than, be careful with this, you need to underline it, twice a number? Well, I don't know what the number is, so I'm going to make the number X, okay? Twice a number is 2 times X, which would look like this, which we know if I have 2 times X, it's the same thing as saying 2X. And more than is plus, and I've got a 5. Because I've got the term more than in there, I know I'm going to be flip-flopping these two from each other. So it would be written 2X plus 5, because it is 5 more than 2 times the quantity, or twice a number, which is 2X. On our last board, we're going to look at some examples, and we're going to translate some word phrases to expressions. I already know the first one is going to be 287 plus 932. Plus, there's a plus sign, that's pretty easy. So I'm going to come over here and say 287 plus 932. That's how that expression would be written. A number divided by 4. Divided by, we know, is going to be the division sign, okay? And so I don't know the number, so I'm going to say X, and I am going to start making all of my quotients and divided by 14 in a fraction form. So it's X divided by 14. It can be written as X divided by 14, but I want us to start getting used to X divided by 14 in fraction form. It makes it a lot easier. 3, here it is again, more than the quotient of a number and 6. Quotient of a number and 6. I'm going to look at 3 more than. How would that look? It would look like 3 more than the quotient of a number and 6. Quotient means to divide, so the number I don't know and 6. But I do know that this is more than, so what have I got to do? Flip-flop it. So I'm going to say the quotient of x divided by 6 plus 3 is going to be what I will be looking for. Okay? 7 subtracted from, here's another one of these, subtracted from a number. I don't know what the number is, so I'm going to put it as x, and I'm going to subtract 7 from that number. 9 less than a number. I don't know what the number is, but I know it's less than, so I've got to flip-flop, so it's going to be x minus 9. Now, number 6 says 6 times the quantity. And at the very beginning, we said quantity means in parentheses. So I know the quantity of a number minus 5, the quantity is going to be whatever the number is minus 5. So I'm going to put in here x minus 5. That is the quantity, or what goes inside the parentheses, and I'm saying 6 times this quantity, which means I can put a 6 on the outside and say 6 times the quantity of x minus 5. We're going to be doing some more of these in class. This will also help you when we start out on our word problems. See you in class.